Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE Monday Night Raw episode 1394, which was broadcast on February 10th, 2020. And I also finally watched Dr. Sleep, directed by Mike Flanagan and starring Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson, Kylie Curran, Cliff Curtis, and a bunch of other people. So this episode is, I'm going to start here by talking about Dr. Sleep. I'm mostly going to be talking about Dr. Sleep in this episode. So keep skipping forward until you hear me mention some wrestler names, then you'll know that I'm now talking about wrestling. If you're not interested at all in Dr. Sleep or The Shining or horror films or whatever, skip ahead. All right. So this film, I really, really regret not seeing it in the theater because it's awesome. I loved it. I'm not to say that I didn't like The Shining, but I had not seen The Shining in full until just a couple months ago. I had actually seen it in preparation for seeing Dr. Sleep. And then I ended up not seeing Dr. Sleep in the theater. And then now finally I have. But, so The Shining isn't this precious thing to me at all. It's not one of my favorite movies ever. Not really super familiar with all the performances. I'm familiar with a few moments that I've seen a million times. I've seen tons of clips from the movie. I've seen some behind the scenes about the movie. I've heard about all kinds of conspiracy theories involving this and that and all kinds of different things. And then also I've heard about how Stephen King was not happy with this film because it's so different from the books. Also, I have not read the books, either of the books, so I am also not tied to that being like what I think of as the gold standard for these stories. So basically, okay, yeah, I guess I'm about as neutral of a party to watch this movie and determine if it's enjoyable or not. And I thought it was extremely enjoyable. And I discovered shortly after I watched it, I watched it like 3 a.m. because I went to bed early. And then I woke up way too early. I woke up at like 2 a.m. and I tried to go back to sleep. And did not succeed. So like, okay, I may as well watch. I can't sleep, so I'll watch Dr. Sleep. And that was a great decision because it's so good. But I did buy the Steelbook version of it because I knew I wanted to get this. Also because I had the Shining Steelbook from Best Buy, which is really cool design. So they're not unified designs at all between the two, except I guess probably the fonts match or something. But the Shining one is very like a minimalist, stark, high contrast yellow and black type of thing, and then the Dr. Sleep cover is more, like photos and effects and stuff like that. But so anyway, all that said, I had not seen The Shining in full until like just a couple months ago, and I did not know anything about Dr. Sleep other than the trailers that I seen before. Why did I say it like that? The trailers I have seen before other movies, and it's mainly that same trailer. Bum, 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 and then like, and you see the elevator, the blood, and all that. So yeah, I did not know a whole lot. I looked up a little bit, like, okay, why is it called Dr. Sleep was the main thing. And so that was like pretty much the only thing I knew going into it. And then everything that I knew from having watched The Shining. And yeah, I really, 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 really liked it. Rebecca Ferguson plays Rose the Hat, who's the villain of the film, and she is so great. The character is badass. Her performance is amazing. And it's like just her is way cooler, in my opinion, than anything in The Shining. Like, just forget about all the other stuff that happens in Doctor Sleep. Just Rose the Hat alone makes me like this movie more than The Shining. But yeah, what I really liked about this film and the story, and I assume there's a lot. I mean, I assume not very much has been changed from the books, but I liked that there were more sci-fi and fantasy elements. It wasn't just I'd say The Shining was more psychological horror than anything else. I mean, there was some like ghosts and stuff like that, but it wasn't to the same degree that it is in this film. And then there's like there's like the disintegration of these non-human things and things like that, like people getting like disintegrated and like their essence sucked in and that kind of thing, which is kind of similar to Pennywise in It. Am I remember that correctly? Pennywise does that to people, like their soul gets sucked out of them kind of thing, or maybe he just eats them. I don't remember. That It Chapter 2 is really, really good as well. And the first installment that was good, but I like the second part better. Because I felt like the second part. Okay, now we're getting into It just a little bit. I forget if I've talked about this on the podcast at all, but I felt like the second part, it covered pretty well the stuff that happened in the first part. Like, because I didn't really remember everything from the first part. And it was fine because they pretty much covered all of it through the telling of the second one, because there were also a lot of flashbacks to when they were kids after the events of the first one. I think there were also some stuff like during. Anyway, back to Doctor Sleep. I like the science fiction, and it's mostly fantasy, but the sci-fi fantasy stuff. The cult type stuff, the ghosts, the paranormal, the effects, I thought were great. I thought all the actors did a great job. I mean, The Shining is a hard act to follow for sure. Between Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, they're both so great. However, I feel like all movies pretty much from that time period and before, I feel like performances in general have evolved since then, and they do feel. I feel like the great acting from back then felt more like acting. Whereas great acting now, it feels a lot more natural, that kind of thing. Maybe. I don't know. I might be making a lot of Kubrick and Nicholson and Duvall fans very upset by saying that. Those two performances are some of the best performances of that time, hands down. But to me, watching them now, they kind of feel over the top. That's what I'm trying to say. That they do feel more towards early film than the best performances that happen now. Like, I'm trying to think of. I don't know. Let's take a look at. Okay, so the Oscars just happened. I can compare it to this is some good examples. We had the best actors who won. We had Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And now that I think of it, his performance it's kind of a caricature. It is a little bit over the top. I mean, he is great, but it's pretty exaggerated. So I guess that's not really a great that it's a bad thing. It's not really an argument that it's a bad thing at all. And then we have Joaquin Phoenix, who's playing the Joker, who is a cartoon character. So there are moments of that performance that you could compare, and appropriately enough, also Jack Nicholson played the Joker. And if you compared these two versions of the Joker, this is way more relevant than I even meant for it to be. So yeah, take a look at Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker versus Jack Nicholson as a Joker, and then also Ewan McGregor as Danny versus Jack Nicholson as well. His name is Jack in The Shining, isn't it? So yeah, I think that's what am I trying to say? I guess that's a really good comparison. Not exactly the same kind of thing, but it is kind of the two characters played by different actors now a little bit. Adult Danny is not the same is not the same as his father was, but there are part of the story is like comparing the two. He has to go on that same journey. He has to go back to the same place and go to the hotel and face all of that to put an end to what's happening with these with this cult and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's all that's pretty much all I wanted to say without getting into spoilers and everything. I might do another episode or start another wrestling episode with the first half of it or more being about Dr. Sleep again after I watch the director's cut. So I'll get back to it at some point. Okay, since I lost my train of thought, I think I'm also going to write down some more detailed, any notes in general about Dr. Sleep, so I can get more into all of that. But yeah, let's get into Raw episode 1394. I did not watch this as it aired, so I did miss a lot of the stuff that was cut from the Hulu version of the show, and I probably will not cover everything. I did a quick outline of notes about the most relevant stuff, the most important stuff, I guess. Yeah, so let's get to it. We opened up with Seth coming out and talking about some stuff, and he's wearing a nice leather jacket with the fuzzy, with the black fur lining. I like that jacket. And he also is, doing the Jesus pose and all that kind of thing. I'm enjoying all this. So yeah, this all sets up because in the main event we end up with the 4-on-4 match with Seth and his disciples versus Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, who is back from injury. He was not cleared last week after what he was put through before that. And the Viking Raiders. So 4-on-4 main events. It was all right. But the ending, okay, I'm going to jump forward. The ending of that match was great. I really like that, the finisher there. That Seth stomped. Who did he stomp? It was Samoa Joe while he had Buddy, and I think he had him in a coquina clutch. Or some other, if it wasn't a coquina clutch, it was a move that had him in a great position to get stomped. The referees were distracted by AOP outside, and that was a real solid heel ending. Great use of the stomp. I like that. It was different because we've seen him use it before while the ref's back is turned, but not while the person he's stomping has someone in a submission hold. That was really cool. So the Monday Night Messiah and his disciples won the main event. But let's go back to the other big match for this week Becky Lynch versus Asuka for the championship. I saw some tweets about this, saw that was going on, and then I heard that something big probably happened because I was advised not to look at spoilers, and so I looked at spoilers. I thought, oh, okay, good. Well, not good necessarily. I was hoping maybe Asuka would win. When I heard I should avoid spoilers, I thought, oh, then Asuka maybe won then. She did not. Becky won. But right after that, Shayna Baszler attacked and then bit her in the back of the neck. All kinds of blood everywhere. And then Becky goes to the hospital. Well, she gets medical attention, and then they try to get her to go in the ambulance, and she steals the ambulance, takes herself to the hospital, which is it's all weird, but it's fun. I like it. And then she comes back from the hospital. She's gotten all patched up. I don't know why they let her take the ambulance back. Maybe they thought, oh, we are required to have an ambulance. We need that ambulance back at the arena. We may as well let her do it because all of our workers are already over there. We can't spare another paramedic to drive this back. We'll just let her take it back. It's fine. That's how she can pay us back for having stolen it in the first place. Hopefully they had all of their medical gear still, like most of it off of the ambulance so that they could use it if they needed to. But she cuts a promo and says, Shayna, you better hope that I find, or what did she say? I'm going to find you before, you better hope you find me before I find you, or something like that. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I saw a lot of comments saying, like, why couldn't this have waited till next week? Yeah, it could have waited till next week. And then all week we have been saying, like, oh, Becky's just, I don't know what we'd be saying. It's a total what if straw man type of argument or whatever. I don't think it was any better or worse than if we had to wait a whole week. And now they can do more stuff next week. And I don't really see a problem with that. Unless it ends up, well, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens next week. Some matches that I missed because they're not on the Hulu version. Street Profits fought the team of Mojo Rawley and Riddick Moss. After they lost, Riddick rolled up Mojo Rawley and won the 24/7 championship and got the heck out of there. I don't know if at the moment Riddick is still the 24/7 champion, but good for you, Riddick. That was a solid move. He took down the arrogant, tough dude saying, I'm not going to run away from anybody. You took him down by gaining his trust and betraying him at just the right time. And I thought it was great. I mean, it wasn't like a super deep betrayal or anything. They'd only been together for like 2 weeks, but it's still, I really enjoyed it. Then we had Sarah. Oh, no. I said that I really enjoyed all of that. And after having said I didn't see that part of the show, I didn't see the match, but I did see a video of after the match when he won the championship and got out of there. There's also Angel Garza versus Cedric Alexander. Apparently that was a good one. I have not seen any clips or anything from that match yet. Then we had Drew McIntyre talk to MVP in the VIP lounge, and this was great. He ended like MVP was trying to suck up to Drew and become his manager, his advocate, whatever, and Drew was like, no thank you. And he hits him with the Claymore, sends him toppling into the couch, tips it over, and then he does the basketball shot thing. And then right at the beginning of when he first comes out, he said, "Hey, you said WrestleMania. I have to point to the sign. Here we go." Drew McIntyre is the best. I freaking love him. So yeah, that whole segment was great. Then we had Sarah Logan versus Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley destroyed her. And Charlotte Flair was at the top of the ramp watching while that happened. Then we had Ricochet versus Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley really had something to prove. I thought it was really funny that this match began with an advertisement and on commentary, and then the graphics on screen for Sonic the Hedgehog, because before I watched the match, I knew how the match ended because I saw a clip of that. I was like, oh, that's great, because Ricochet, I mean, I would know what but it was at the top of my mind because I had seen how it finished, that his finisher is usually the 630 senton, and that is basically a Sonic the Hedgehog jump, like the spin jump. So I thought that was pretty great. I don't know if that was on purpose at all, or it was just the best coincidence that Sonic the Hedgehog was the sponsor of the Ricochet match. Then we had Randy Orton come out. He's about to explain himself, and Matt Hardy comes out and confronts Randy. Is like, "Why are you doing this? Blah blah blah. You have all this history, and like we had our differences, Edge and I, when he got injured. Then we were friends, and we're like, what's your problem?" And Randy Orton attacks him. Matt Hardy fights him off at first, but then Randy smashes his head in with the chair, like he did with Edge. And that might be the end of Matt Hardy in WWE. We'll see what happens. I don't know. He said goodbye on Twitter, so it could mean something. It could mean something else entirely. Who knows? We'll find out, maybe. But somebody posted, they post, a meme on their, they posted this on Reddit, and then, so Randy says, "I'm going to explain myself." And then Matt Hardy, "Why don't you explain yourself?" And then they posted a picture of that little claymation penguin saying, "Well, now I don't want to do it." That was perfect. I like that. And so then we had Becky. She came back and said all that stuff. Better hope you find me before I find you, blah, blah, blah. And then we had Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. Oh, I keep calling him Buddy Murphy or Buddy. He's just Murphy now. That's important, kind of. Murphy and AOP versus Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and the Viking Raiders. So yeah, this feud continues and continues and continues. I'm not sure where it's going to go. How does this end? And if it I don't know what I'm trying to say, but this just kind of continued things. Story wise, I didn't feel like this week advanced anything with them at all, but I did really like that ending. So I'll give it a single thumbs up anyway. I don't rate things with thumbs ups and thumbs down, so that's like meaningless. And that's it. It was announced that there will be first ever. What is the name of the? There'll be a gauntlet match for a trophy at Super Showdown, and in that match, I think it's all Raw guys, from what I remember. Andrade is in there, AJ Styles, Eric Rowan, and some other people. There's 6 people in the match, and it's for this trophy. And then also a segment that I didn't write down, but I missed, was an interview with Ruby Riott talking about how Liv Morgan is her friend, was her best friend, and that she knows her better than anyone, and that she's just a follower, and that she's not going to attack back. I didn't really understand I guess she was saying that Liv Morgan wasn't going to do anything unless Ruby said to do something or something like that, which doesn't, I'm not sure if that makes sense or not. Maybe it'll make sense as things develop going forward. So, yeah, I did like quite a few moments from this episode. I'm not sure if I would have enjoyed it more or less if I had watched it live. I think I will be doing the Hulu thing for a while now. Just to save on not having a Sling subscription, because I'm gonna have Hulu anyway, and Sling I use it entirely just to watch NXT and Raw. That's it. And then I happen to watch Ms. and Mrs. The last couple of weeks, but I am okay with just watching that later. It's not like I'm gonna get spoiled. Like, oh no, oh my gosh, his second daughter was born. I didn't know that was going to happen. Like, I already knew that happens. But that's about it, I think. I'll be back real soon. I totally forgot to publish last week's SmackDown and 205 Live episode until like just a few minutes ago, because I went on to the site to see, like, to look up the episode numbers. I was like, oh wait, I'm pretty sure that I posted that. So I must have uploaded it and everything and then forgot to hit submit or publish or whatever, and then it lost the draft of it. No big deal. Because the file still exists, so it's all good. But yeah, so I will be posting this episode. I'm recording this on Wednesday, the 12th. So tonight is NXT. I'll be watching it tomorrow at some point. But I don't know when I'm going to be able to get to do the episode. It depends on when they post it on Hulu. Because I will watch the Hulu version, which is unfortunately is not the full episode. They cut some stuff out for that. So we'll see how that goes. That's the one thing I'm most iffy on with not watching live is NXT. I don't want to miss anything on NXT. Raw, I'm pretty okay with missing some stuff. But yeah, let me know what you thought about this episode of Raw, and more so, let me know what you think about Doctor Sleep, especially if you've read the novel. If you've read it and seen it, I definitely want to hear what you think about it. And at some point, maybe I'll get around to reading any and all of Stephen King's books. I haven't actually read any Stephen King. I've only seen movies and TV. No, that's not true. 11/22/63. Is that what it? Maybe you got that date wrong. The time traveling one that James Franco is in, I did read that book, and the book is really good. The TV show is really good. Watch and read both of those. But and then I need to get another reason that I'm ended Sling is so that in the near future I can add HBO to my TV watching regimen again. And I think The Outsider is now a series on HBO. It might not be. It might be on something else. I think it's on HBO though. So that's it. Let me know what you thought about all that stuff. Dr. Sleep is awesome. By tweeting me at TIW Podcasts, go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. Stay safe out there in all the infinite multiverses, and I'll see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye.